Hi, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Bastian Weekly. First of all, apologies for their absence last week. I was actually traveling up in Singapore and just was unable to record a session, but I'm back here on the Gold Coast. And ready to get into it. So just a couple roles I wanted to talk about quickly today. We've got a lead consultant role with a global management consulting firm. Role can be based either Sydney or Melbourne. Background in IBP, S&OP, or replenishment or retail planning, merchandising would be ideal. Senior role, competitive salary and offer. Next role I wanted to talk about was a sales director role based in Melbourne. So we've got a European ocean freight forwarder, which actually has its own vessels as well, looking to open a new entity here in Australia. So we're looking for a sales director / country MD / leadership personnel to come in and help set up the entity here in Australia, obviously grow the client and customer base, and obviously help be an integral part in growing the business here locally, especially if you've got a background in commodities or ag commodities. I'd really like to talk to you about this opportunity. We've got a business development manager role with an ag tech supply chain tech startup. Location is Eastern Seaboard, so Victoria, New South Wales, Queensland, somewhere in that area. Ideally, a little bit of rural or ag background, a background in food or protein or commodities, something in that space would be ideal, and a little bit of supply chain, a little bit of tech mixed into it, and that you'd be someone we'd like to talk to. Competitive salary on offer. There will be some travel associated into some more of the rural communities here in Australia. But if that sounds like something you'd be interested, get in touch with us. And the last role I wanted to mention was we've got a senior solutions architect for a unicorn pre-IPO supply chain startup, location Sydney. If you have a background in either manufacturing or retail planning and you have a solutions architect experience, we'd love to talk to you about this opportunity. Just a couple of things around recruitment. Two kind of conflicting reports about here at Performance in Australia. One was I saw a report yesterday how they were quantifying and qualifying the talent acquisitions maturity and capability here in Australia in comparison to other markets globally. Australia actually ranked very highly in one of the best markets globally for talent acquisition capability. So I thought that was pretty nice to share. We're obviously doing a good job here in Oz. This disappointing report that did come out earlier this week was Hayes half-year reports are pretty grim, and it's just a continued sign that the market is softening. So I do think there's some pockets doing well, but in general, I think for the next few months we can anticipate a pretty slow market for all of us. On the supply chain side, two things I wanted to quickly highlight. On Monday, Sydney-based group Scotts Refrigerated Logistics has gone into voluntary administration, which is a huge blow, not only to the company, its staff, and its employee, its business, but also to the supply chain here in Australia. Scotts is a key mover for major supermarkets like Coles, Woolly, Aldi, and IGA. So the impact on supply chain, the impact on fresh produce at your retail convenience stores, and then obviously the impact on those employees and their families and their lives and the ownership group there is pretty immense. So it's a bit of sad news there, and certainly hope whatever can be salvaged can come from that. The other thing I wanted to highlight just around supply chain news was USA has recently held talks with 3 key Asian partners, South Korea, Taiwan, and Japan, and they've called this now the Chip 4. Again, it's another talking point around supply chain security and supply chain partnerships and regional stability around supply chain. And this is specifically around semi-conductors and the need for supply assurances when it comes to these high-value products. So again, I just wanted to highlight that as another kind of key talking point around some of the issues we've been talking about here on the Bastian Weekly for a few months now. On the tech side, look, nothing earth-shattering. It's just a continued sign, even for spending time up in Singapore. I think tech is taking a bit of a beating at the moment, with either through redundancies or targets not being met or hiring freezes. A lot of instability in the market right now, specifically in supply chain tech. So, we're hoping that things do improve and rebound in that space. But as I mentioned earlier, I do think it's going to be a little bit of a soft space for the next few months, unfortunately. But yeah, that's all we've got for you today. Any questions or concerns, leave them in the comment section below, and we'll see you guys next week. Take care. Cheers.